like Hank Aaron, grew up to write their own chapters of baseball history. Now director of player development for the Atlanta Braves, Hank oversees the team's farm system. At spring training in West Palm Beach, Florida, Hank talked about what Jackie Robinson meant to him.
Well, Jackie Robinson was, well, of course, he was my boyhood idol, number one, and he meant more to me than just a baseball player. He meant something that I guess every black kid and every black person in America looked up to him because of the things that he stood for. He was a tremendous ball player, and he was concerned with the well-being of black off the field. He was concerned with the progress of black management. He was concerned with blacks in politics, and Jackie was just the kind of person that I suppose that I always wanted my son to grow up to be.
Hank Aaron signed with the Milwaukee Braves organization in 1952, and in their minor league system was the first black player in the Sally League. In the majors, he and New York Giants outfielder Willie Mays were the two great sluggers of the 1950s and 60s. Aaron had a 23-year major league career, retiring in 1976 with all-time records in several offensive categories. His single towering achievement was to break Babe Ruth's supposedly untouchable record of 714 career home runs. Here he hits the biggest one, number 715. His final tally was 755 homers. Hank remembers the 1950s and 60s as transitional years for the black baseball player.
I came up during the time when segregation was still there. You know, we were allowed to play with our white teammates in Bradenton, Florida, but was not allowed to stay with them. We were also allowed to play with them in some places in Florida, but not allowed to play with them on the field. We were also allowed to play with them, and even in some of the cities that, like in Mobile, New Orleans, and places like this, there was still a lot of segregation. But I felt, and I still do, and that was during the time when Jackie Robinson was still playing. I felt like, although I had not been through some of the things that Jackie had, nearly some of the things that he had been through, I thought that I was, and myself, along with some of the other black players, were also being tested. You know, if we had failed, then some of the black players that is playing today would not be in the league.
Some of the things, like you come to Florida, you couldn't go in a great deal of restaurants. You couldn't live in a hotel with the ball players. You had to stay with I stayed with a very nice black family.
Elston Howard, considered one of the best all-around catchers of the past 30 years, became the first black player on the New York Yankees in 1955, 8 years after Jackie Robinson broke the color line in the majors. Howard, now working in the Yankee front office, recalls some of the restrictions he endured.
Just couldn't go anyplace. You couldn't go to the theater, but that's mostly where you go to a dominant black area, and you go to ballpark, you would see the ball players, but you couldn't do anything otherwise. But the thing that is disturbing more than that, when you leave out of here, you're breaking camp, you're going north, you're going through the south all the way up, like North Carolina, South Carolina, right on up through Virginia and everywhere, that you couldn't dress with the ball players then, and you had to go across town to dress. And I went in some towns like Birmingham, because being a black with a white club, the law stated that you couldn't play like that. But those things are in the past now, and you really don't see anything like that anymore.
In the years after Robinson, Aaron, Howard, and other blacks entered the major leagues, the conditions for the black player gradually and steadily improved. In the National League, the Dodgers, the Braves, and the Giants all had several black players by 1950. But in the American League, the Yankees did not sign Howard until 1955, and the Boston Red Sox waited until 1959 to acquire their first black player, 12 years after Jackie Robinson became a Brooklyn Dodger.
It was a long time before the American League would even accept ball players. Of course, you know, Larry Doby later came along and with the Cleveland Indians. But it was a long time before any team, or most teams, I would say, in the American League would ever accept the play of blacks. on the field. In fact, Washington and some of the other ball clubs would not accept some of the play of some of the blacks.